honest. It's real. I feel like, I'm running out of time. When every time I think I'm doing good, then I got to go back to the hospital. And it's
Do you
like,
fear death?
I almost died this time, the blood clot.
As y'all might have heard, Nick Cannon is back in the headlines after one of his baby mamas accused him of pressuring their child to donate an organ, a claim so shocking it immediately sent everyone and their mama into full disbelief.
I don't fear it. I welcome it. I got to a space now where it's like, it's probably going to happen. I'm probably going to die sooner than most people. And because that's what the doctor said.
And before anyone rushes to pick a side, there's one uncomfortable question hanging in the air. Is this baby mama revealing a terrifying truth about what's really been happening behind closed doors? Or is this a calculated move to secure full custody along with full benefits? Either way, this situation is dark and messy.
No, what did the doctor say?
I might die in the morning, so let's all night.
Nick, what did the... Yeah, right. Well, now you got a point. The doctors...
Why wear condoms? I might not be here tomorrow.
But Nick...
According to reports, one of Nick Cannon's baby mamas, who has chosen to stay anonymous, has filed for emergency custody and a restraining order, claiming Nick tried to pressure their minor child into donating an organ. Yes, an organ, not a loan, not a favor, not an awkward ask you could brush off and move past, an actual body part. And the second that allegation hit the public, this situation stopped being messy gossip and crossed straight into disturbing territory.
The blood clots from the last time I was in the hospital, the doctor literally said to me, I don't understand how you're still alive.
And it somehow gets darker. The filing reportedly says she's afraid Nick could try to take the child, which is why she's asking the court for full custody and a restraining order to protect both herself and their child. The documents don't even say which organ was brought up, but honestly, once you're talking about pressuring a kid for a body part, the details almost don't matter anymore.
So they're predicting that this will progress?
This is what you got to realize, the 5 blood transfusions was because, if they didn't do that, I would have died.
Yeah.
And once you throw medical ethics into the mix, especially when a minor is involved, the gravity of it all grows fast. A child donating an organ to a parent is considered an absolute last resort, wrapped in layers of legal approval, medical clearance, and psychological evaluations meant to protect the child at every step. This isn't the kind of thing you just shrug off or casually bring up at brunch, which is exactly why the court is likely to treat this claim with the highest level of seriousness. Fame, clout, or celebrity status doesn't give anyone a free pass here. Still, as wild and disturbing as this all sounds, the streets aren't exactly shocked. People are stunned, sure. Are we horrified? Without a doubt. But are any of us surprised? No, not really, as Nick Cannon has very few options left.
The blood clot has already reached where most people would be gone already. And that's the thing about even when they find blood clots, they can't get rid of the blood clots. All they can do is give you medicine to prevent other ones.
Given the fact that he doesn't have long to live and care for these kids, folks have been quietly questioning Nick Cannon's moves, his intentions, and honestly, the sheer scale of the family he's built. 12 kids, 6 baby mamas, multiple households. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
There's rock, roll, golden, powerful, rise, onyx, legendary, Zion, zillion, zen, and see, this is where
And let's be real, the lifestyle he's been running doesn't exactly scream emotionally present dad of the year. The image Nick has tried to sell, that he's this hyper-involved, loving father showing up equally for all 12 kids, has always felt stretched.
What are their names?
you want all 12?
12 names. Go.
All right. This is where I usually get in trouble.
Ever since his marriage to Mariah Carey ended, Nick Cannon's canon really hasn't slowed down for a second. He tied the knot with Mariah back in 2008, welcomed their twins Moroccan and Monroe in 2011, and by 2016, the divorce was officially finalized. But once that chapter closed, it was like something kicked the floodgates wide open and let everything pour out. Baby after baby started arriving, woman after woman entered the picture, year after year with barely a pause. Even total strangers to this whole situation were left scratching their heads, openly wondering what could possibly drive one man to keep having kids this fast, this often. And with so many different women all at once, the numbers kept climbing, the headlines kept stacking up, and the questions just got louder with each passing year. And while Nick has always stepped up with some kind of answer whenever anyone asked, whether it was about legacy, love, or just living his truth, none of those explanations ever fully landed the way he probably hoped. They often felt rehearsed, a little too polished, or just not enough to quiet the suspicion from people watching him. The pattern kept repeating, the kids kept coming, and the public kept staring, still trying to figure out what was really fueling it all.
So you think having all those kids was a response to your trauma?
Yeah, 100. Now I'm learning that now.
When you actually sit down and follow the real timeline, it gets even more unsettling and honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around. Right after the divorce from Mariah was finalized, Nick started welcoming kids with Brittany Bell, Abby De La Rosa, Alyssa Scott, Bray Tiesi, Lanisha Cole, and another woman whose name we can't remember. That's just how many Nick Cannon's baby mamas are. In one single year alone, 5 children were born to 5 completely different women. 2 of those babies even arrived in the exact same month. At the last count, 8 of his kids were still under 6 years old, which means a huge chunk of his children are basically toddlers or infants all at once.
Then you say, wait, I was supposed to die in my 40s, and now I got 100 kids. I'm bankrupt.
At that point, this isn't just unconventional or living his truth anymore. It starts to feel overwhelming, like the idea alone would break most people. And quietly, it brought up a very real question that a lot of folks were hesitant to voice at first. How can one person truly show up for all of them the way a parent needs to? Not just financially or with occasional visits, but emotionally, day in, day out, when attention, energy, and time are being split across so many little ones, born so close together, and with so many different mothers involved. The math doesn't seem like it adds up without someone, probably the kids, ending up not getting enough of something somewhere along the way. But according to Nick, none of his children were accidents. He said repeatedly that every woman he had a child with was chosen intentionally because he genuinely believed each of them would be a great mother.
I've always said this, every child that I had was made out of love, and there were strong relationships.
On paper, that sounds thoughtful, but in practice, those explanations didn't really settle anyone's concerns. If anything, they just stirred the pot and fueled even more speculation. Because the truth is, planning 12 kids across 6 different households doesn't automatically equal being responsible. Sometimes it just raises questions about a thirst for control or misplaced priorities. And this is where things start to get even darker. Because Nick Cannon isn't just a man with a growing number of kids. He's also a man facing serious health battles. Back in 2012, he was diagnosed with lupus nephritis, a form of lupus that attacks the kidneys. Since then, he's been hospitalized multiple times for kidney complications, pulmonary embolisms, and other life-threatening setbacks.
Since my battle with lupus, I've probably had almost a half a dozen pulmonary embolisms. I remember the initial one, which we found in 2012, was 3 at once, where I had them in my lungs and one even in my heart.
Certainly, facing that kind of reality changes the way anyone sees time, family, legacy, and survival. It adds pressure and urgency that most of us can't even imagine. Years ago, people started joking, well, half joking, half whispering, that Nick Cannon might be having so many kids as a way to secure a future organ donor. At first, it sounded absurd. Then it started sounding downright morbid.
What?
It's the fact that Nick Cannon is having all these kids so that he can get bone marrow or something from them, and it won't hurt them. Because he got 12 kids.
Eventually, Nick himself addressed the rumors, laughing them off and mocking the idea that he was out here collecting bone marrow.
So I'm just out here collecting bone marrow? What do I need extra bone marrow for?
He hid behind humor, sarcasm, and a carefree attitude, acting like it didn't bother him. But even the loudest laughter can't fully erase the unease, especially when a rumor like that just won't go away.
I believe it is because he was sick and he needs some kind of bone marrow or some kind of testing So he's having more than one child.
It didn't help that insiders later mentioned Nick had shown an unusual interest in cord blood and stem cells around the births of some of his children. Cord blood has been studied for its potential in treating autoimmune conditions like lupus, and it's known to be less likely to be rejected than bone marrow. On its own, none of this proves anything, but when you put it together, his serious health issues, the rapid expansion of his family, and his own confirmation that he may not have a long lifespan, it starts to form a picture that's hard for people to ignore. So when this baby mama came forward, claiming that Nick pressured their child to donate an organ, it felt to many like the missing piece snapping into place. And it's not like this is the first time questions about his parenting style have popped up. One of his other baby mamas openly admitted that communicating with Nick often had to go through his assistant, turning co-parenting into something that felt more like scheduling a meeting than actually raising a child together.
We all can go through the assistant to make sure it's on the calendar if there's something important.
Interestingly, not long after these shocking allegations surfaced, another one of Nick's baby mamas suddenly appeared online defending him. She praised him as a loving partner and devoted father who embraces all of his children and treats their mothers with respect. The timing, of course, immediately raised eyebrows. This is the same woman who, not too long ago, had openly criticized his absence and questioned his involvement in their child's life. Fans were quick to call it damage control, suggesting Nick might be trying to get ahead of the narrative before it spiraled completely out of his control. Nick's response to the allegations hasn't done much to calm the storm either. Rather than providing a direct denial or addressing the claims head-on, he leaned on his usual strategy, implying the accusations were just about clout, dodging the specifics and keeping his statements intentionally vague. That approach might have worked when the stories were just online conspiracy theories, the kind people scroll past. But this time it's different. There's a formal court filing. A child is directly involved, and the allegations cross a moral line most people don't even want to imagine. Now the court will have the final say on what happens next, and even if these allegations are ultimately proven false or unproven, the damage to Nick Cannon's carefully crafted image is already being felt. The superdad persona he's worked so hard to maintain is showing cracks under intense pressure, and the questions he's spent years skillfully dodging can no longer be ignored.
But Nick, what if the doctors are wrong and now you're a 90-year-old man with 100 kids? Because you lived your life.
Amazing. So the big question remains, is this baby mama exaggerating her claims to try and secure full custody and child support? Or did Nick Cannon finally cross a line in a desperate attempt to protect himself and manage his own failing health? The full answer will likely only come once the emergency custody hearing plays out, with the court reviewing the evidence and hearing both sides. Until then, the story continues to hover in that uneasy space between shock, disbelief, and curiosity. But one thing is clear, this story isn't going anywhere, and that's exactly why I know y'all will be right here, keenly watching, as everything about Nick Cannon's life as a baby daddy comes out all at once.